Hey guys and girls, how's it going? Hope you guys are on a great week. So, Happy New Year, everybody. It is 2022, and we are here today to do, as everybody does on YouTube, a reflection on the previous year. In today's video, we're going to talk about the best games that we played in 2021. We have each picked 2 games that we're going to talk about. It was so hard to limit it to just 2 because I've played a lot of games this year. But before we kick off and obviously talk about our picks and our choices for the year, we do have a couple of honorable mentions that we want to talk about. For me personally, my first big honorable mention, of course, is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I haven't included it in my top games this year because, honestly speaking, Mass Effect wasn't originally released in 2021. That's why it doesn't qualify, but it is still definitely one of the best games I have played this year, and I've absolutely loved playing the trilogy and all the DLC through from the beginning. The improvements they made in the first Mass Effect game in terms of the combat are absolutely brilliant, and they really do change that game up a lot. And I've loved streaming it with the community this year. It's been a lot of fun to actually experience the trilogy with you all and stream it live. I've really enjoyed it, and I will be continuing Mass Effect 3 in 2022, so definitely stay tuned for notification on when I'm going to go live, but I'm looking forward to playing more. Do any of you guys have any honorable mentions you want to just quickly mention?
Just like to say, for me, Picross. I know it's an annual puzzle game that there's just so many versions of, but it's kept me sane this year. So, yeah, Picross is nothing special, but it's a great little puzzle game for those who love it. There's like 7 or 8 versions of it on the Switch now. And yeah, like I said, it's just kept me sane. So
I've never played Picross, but I might have to check it out. If it's a nice little, it's like a small game you can just jump in and out of.
Oh, without question.
Oh,
yeah.
I love those kind of games. Okay, that sounds awesome. Any others? Edge, Dante?
Yeah, so at the moment with this year, I've played a lot more games than I normally would do. So finding my top 2 or even like an honorable mention, it seems unfair to most of them. Apologies, by the way, I'm not on camera because I feel sick. So you don't want to see a sick Edge.
It's
you don't want
fine.
to see like that.
No, it's
not saying
fine.
you want to see New Year. But if I have to pick an honorable mention, which I think deserves it, I'm probably going to say Tales of Arise. Because though that was one of the games I really was looking forward to this year, and I have immensely enjoyed it, I don't think it's in my top 2. Because it did a lot of things right in terms of just the overall aesthetics. Like the landscaping, the animation of like landing in bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game.
But ultimately, it's a guilty pleasure game for me. So it's like one of those games I know I can pick up and enjoy. And like, there's been other ones like, I'm sure people might mention Monster Hunter as well, but like, there's just too many I could mention honorable mentions at the moment.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I want to mention Monster Hunter Rise. I like it because we get on the multiplayer with it, and it's all good fun that way. And yeah, so that's definitely my choice.
Awesome. Yeah, the more Japanese elements in Monster Hunter Rise as well were really beautiful. Like, it was a lot more Japanese in aesthetics and in style and design. And yeah, the wire bug mechanic was just awesome. The verticality of it.
Again, I think it's worth calling out just the hardware choice of being able to pull a game off like that on the Switch of all consoles.
It's coming out on PC soon, I think, as well.
It is, yeah.
It's coming out this month or 2, and then the expansion is coming out in the summer.
Okay, I'm very much interested in that. Awesome stuff. All good honorable mentions. So we're going to kick off then. We're going to talk about one game, and then we'll come back around. So I'm going to go last on this. So Edge, do you want to start off with your first pick? One of your best games that you played last year.
Well, of everyone in this room right now, in terms of what game I might pick for my number 1 for this year, of what I've enjoyed the most, I mean, it's going to be a surprise, isn't it?
No.
Right? I mean, yeah, it might be, yeah. You know what? I will probably, I'll mention it first. I think let's get the best out of the way. So, no surprise to anyone who knows me fairly well, but this year for highlights for me has been Endwalker, Final Fantasy Endwalker. Despite the long loading times, and I think because how successful the game has been, it's been a culmination of a storyline that's been going on for about 10 years. And if you think about the story of the original version of 14, where it didn't do successfully very well, and then they rebuilt it, and then relaunched it. Really, really good success story. If you've been playing since the original Realm Reborn, through Heaven's Wards, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers, this really rewards you for the attention to story. Like, if you're looking for a really good story and rewarding you for paying attention, really well done. That's why I play for. Like, when I play Final Fantasy, I just look for a really good, engaging story, and it's done it completely. Like, if I had to compare this to any of the other ones I've played recently in mainline, it's a bit unfair because obviously it's, it's a PC or MMORPG / console. But for the last 4 years, I've been engaged in it, and it's just been such a wonderful experience.
It's got a great, really positive community as well as Final Fantasy 14. It's one of the few MMOs that the community is just really lovely and supportive. It is a game I'm interested in picking up and playing next year. I haven't played it yet. And I have it, and I've had it for, it's embarrassing long.
You did play a little bit.
I played a little bit, and then I just got distracted by other things. But I am, me, I am very much into my stories and my characters, and everything you've told me about it. It sounds like I probably will really enjoy it.
I tell you that once you get to the end of Endwalker, and you know my comment I made to you about that versus Mass Effect 3, you'll be like, what is this?
Okay,
completely.
So the stakes get really big then, and the story ends really in a satisfying. Well, if as long as the story ends in a satisfying way, then I'm there.
It does it right. It gives you a satisfying conclusion to the story while leaving it open still to do other stuff, which I'm really happy about.
I had a feeling that would be one of your top this year, and the response to it has been really great too. So I know they've done justice, which is great, and I think them even delaying.
They had to stop selling it.
Yeah, because they had server issues, didn't they? I know people struggling to actually get on to play it, so they actually just stopped selling it, which over the Christmas period is insane that they took that decision. But that's credit to them. They're like, we've got to look after the people that we already have that are playing, so credit to them. You know what I mean? There would have been many other development studios that would have just kept taking that money.
I mean, to be honest, it almost didn't make it in the list purely because of how late at the end of the year the game was. So I wouldn't have put it in there if I hadn't completed the story mode.
Yeah.
If I hadn't completed the main story, I wouldn't have put it in.
That's fair. I mean, all the games I'm going to talk about, in this, I have finished, I have beaten. And I like to do that if I'm going to include it in my games of the year. I like to have played everything in that game to be able to assess whether or not it deserves a place. Dante, what about for you? One of your best games you played this year?
It's been mentioned so much. Am I allowed to talk about It Takes Two again?
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's just
talk about it. It's an amazing game.
One of those multiplayer, just the co-opness of it all. And a lot of multiplayer games lately, it's mostly friends getting together and getting annoyed at stuff. Whereas this game was just like, oh my god, this is cool. That is cool. Something else new. They just keep changing up mechanics and all that. It's got funny dialogue. It's got just the pure essence of co-op. You've got to do proper teamwork and communication and have a laugh over it, which I thought was it just felt fresh for a change after what's been released lately. And the bits of the story or one particular character wasn't so great, but overall it was just fun to play. So that definitely got thumbs up for me.
Yeah, and it's a couch co-op. You can play it online as well. And obviously they did the friend code, didn't they? So if one of you owns the game, you can actually throw out the friend code to someone else and invite them in. So only one of you needs to own the game, which is amazing. Which Hazelight Studio did the same with A Way Out. You and I did not expect to enjoy that game as much as I did. It was really good because it's about a couple that are falling apart, aren't they, really, and they're going to get divorced. And as you start off the game, they can't coordinate, they can't cooperate, they're constantly arguing, and then as they progress they get better and better, and it's the same in real life. So when you're playing it together, you and I were you did it wrong, you pressed the button, oh my god. So and we were basically criticizing each other, but then as we got it, we were in the zone and we're high-fiving and fist bumping and it was just It was absolutely. It's so cleverly done. It's also one of my best games this year. But I knew you were going to talk about it, so it's not on my top two. But yeah, it's a great game. Yeah, if you haven't played it, like Edge, you should play it with Susie. Like, she would love it, I think. It's so good. It's so good.
Games together because she plays a lot of Lego games, and she has no depth perception, and I'm colorblind, so it makes co-op games hilarious.
It'll be
the
even
ultimate
funnier
challenge.
Then. It would be even funnier. But it's really good. Yeah, I highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. Awesome. Very good pick, Dante. Very good pick. Fish?
I think it's absolutely, again, like Edge is no surprise for mine. Mine was Metroid Dread. It's been a bit of a dull year for games for me. Again, thinking on honourable mentions, because looking when it actually came out, my other game I wanted to mention before I go into the Metroid was I Expect You to Die, which is on Oculus. I Expect You to Die, however, came out in 2019, so it doesn't. I played it this year, but it didn't come out in like 2019. So, briefly touching on it, I Expect You to Die, nice little VR game in the James Bondy style. You're strapped into something and you have to get out, and you only have what's available at your touch to do said mission. Many things can go wrong. You will die multiple times in an attempt to complete a puzzle, and it's a solid use of VR technology and absolutely incredibly immersive. But as regards to games that did come out this year, for me it's Metroid. It's a game I've been waiting almost 20 years for, since my first real introduction into the Metroid franchise, which was Metroid Fusion back on the Game Boy Advance. That was my very first ever Metroid game, and this is the sequel to that. So, Mercury Steam have once again outdone themselves in taking on, a Nintendo property. They've improved it. They've given a great story, as much as story can be given in a Metroid game. I'd like to hope that it's not going to be another, close to 2 decades before we get a follow-up to it.
I don't think it will. I think it's been too successful.
No spoilers. I'm also curious to see where the franchise could go from this last one. Because I can't see much more track left in the box of toy trains to keep this story going. So it's going to be intriguing to see what they do. But yeah, Metroid, the gameplay was fantastic. The environment was delightful. It was fresh enough that, for example, the complete denial of the morph ball for so long in the game made you learn other techniques, which Metroid has always given you the morph ball as like the first power-up or one of the first few. So yeah, it really was for me the standout game of this year.
Yeah, and we all 100%ed it, like you, me, and Dante, 100% in that game.
Yeah, had to be done.
I think we were competing on how quick we could do it. But yeah, that game is amazing. And it was my first Metroid game I completed. Yay! Got many more to go. But yeah, it's really good. Fab pick, absolutely fab pick. Mine, one of my best games I've played this year. So I'm going to talk about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Obviously, I think you and me, Edge, we both have a PlayStation 5, right? Have you?
Yes, I did complete that game this year as well.
Yes, and I absolutely loved every moment of it. Obviously, it is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It was fabulous. It really does showcase the PlayStation 5 in all its glory, from the rifts, which is the ability to pull yourself between rifts, so you move across to different levels and parts on the level. Really does shake up the combat and the platforming. The haptic feedback on the controllers as well was very cleverly used in terms of your guns. You have like 2 modes for your different weapons depending on how far you pull down the trigger. So that was so cool. But it was, and the characters and the story, plus it has like 2 brand new characters, Rivet and what's the bot's name? I've forgotten the bot's name. Oh my god. Yeah, anyway.
Zoned out in fairness.
Yeah,
There's like
it's fine.
Well, this is leading up just to mention Jennifer Hale.
Yes, but Rivet is voice acted by Jennifer Hill, and she's freaking crazy, incredible, and I love her. But yeah, two brilliant new characters and great story, just brilliant levels, and it's just a joyful game to play. Like, it was a game where I just played it through and I was smiling the whole time I was playing it, and just some of the laughs, some of the jokes, and you just can't help but laugh. And yeah, the gunplay and gameplay was just really enjoyable. The platforming is so well done, and Insomniac Games, man, they are on fire right now. Like, they haven't brought out a bad game in like the last 5 years, 6 years, like more than that. Like, from the Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 to like Miles Morales, and then obviously Ratchet and Clank the remake, and now Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and they're going to be doing a new Wolverine game. Like, they're just so on fire right now. They're doing such a good job. So yeah, I loved Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. If you own a PlayStation 5, I recommend this for me it's a must play. If you like your platformers, it's fabulous. It's absolutely brilliant.
One of the rare platformers I've played in recent years, for definite.
Yeah, I loved every moment of it. I had such fun playing it. It was amazing. So we're going to move on to our second choice each. And Edge, I'm very curious because I've no idea. I have a rough idea what you might be pick, but what is your second?
Guesses so far?
I think maybe Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8. So what
Fish,
is your?
Guesses?
Nothing on my part. It could be anything for you.
Dante?
I would have gone for one of the Resis as well, but what's it going to be? What's it going to be?
Because it's not Tales.
Because this
so
is the thing,
what
right?
is it?
Because like obviously I've played Persona 5 Strikers.
Yeah.
I've played Resident Evil 8. I haven't put Monster Hunter Rise in there. So yeah. So going based on this year, the second one was really hard. So just a little bit of context before I'm announcing it.
He's teasing us.
It was really hard because Monster Hunter Rise was a really good game, but it kind of dropped it for me with its like continuing content afterwards. Tales of Arise was a really good game for me, but a guilty pleasure. So I didn't want to sort of have those Rule City glasses on to give it an unfair bias. So the one that I picked, which was more of for the most reaction, I think that's probably the way I'm going to say it. The most reaction that made me complete the damn thing would be Resident Evil 8 Village. And the reason for that is, if Fish understands where I'm coming from, the very first hour to an hour and a half, especially when you go into the castle, is just like a love letter to Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like if this is what they're going to do Resident Evil 4, if they do a remake, I'm in. I'm completely in. But for me personally, because I started streaming and doing my channel about now, a year and a half ago now, almost?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first games that I played streaming after, I think, the 2 and 3 remakes was Resident 7, which I regret now. I completely fucking regret. Because of the amount of, dear God, peeing moments and Fish like going, oh yeah, mate, having fun with that one. So Resident 8, I was kind of going in thinking, I don't want to do this. But the mechanics were fine. It felt really comfortable to play. Unlike 7, where it felt a bit clunky for me. I felt like I could actually do things like attack, shoot, stab. You had the tactics a little bit. The environments were very unique and diverse between each area. I loved the second area, despite me crying like a wuss.
Is that the baby one?
At the baby monster.
Oh, that bit is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. That makes me not want to play the game.
It would have been up higher, but it kind of, for me, drops the ball a little bit with the final area. Because the final area, I think, can be make or break for some people with the robo-cyborg things. But in terms of the overall difficulty, the gun mechanics, the collecting of stuff, the exploring, just the visuals, and just the overall aesthetics of playing a first-person Resident Evil 4 kind of liking game, I loved it. I generally enjoyed it. I will probably go back and play more of it at some point again. but it was definitely a Resident Evil game that it's been a long time since I've been excited for one. Like 4 was one of the ones that got me into the series. And then when I played 5 and 6, that was fun. But this has been probably one of the first times in a while that I generally got quite excited. So I'm intrigued to see where they go with it. But it was definitely a good highlight for me to play this year.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed watching you stream it.
I'm crying like a wuss.
It
Yeah,
was
totally.
fun.
I get that.
It was a fun stream to watch. You should check it out if you haven't already done so, guys. It was a very fun stream to watch. Good pick. Very good pick. Dante, your second game?
I was trying to remember what I've played because I mostly started rinsing Xenoblade Definitive Edition, but that came out in like 2020.
Yeah.
But I finally got around to it. Finally completed it. Yay!
It's beautiful.
Psychonauts 2. That was a new one. That I liked because the moment I knew that was coming out, I was like, right, I'm going back and playing the first one. Watched the VR playthrough of the sequel that came straight after, and then it leads straight into this Psychonauts 2 game, and it's just ace. I like it. The voice actors are all back and just as good. Even though I keep hearing Invader Zim all the time, and he was in it. And yeah, it's just one of those really good fun platformers with really quirky, crazy ideas. The plot kept me entertained. Or the little jokes and side comments and all this and that. I just like funny games. But it was really clever on how each level was a different part of different characters' psyches and all that, similar to the first game, but they just elaborated even more and got crazy and crazier ideas. So yeah, I just really liked that. It was really good.
Yeah, and then you have Jack Black actually like voice acting a character and does a song.
Yeah, and doing a song. Yeah.
So freaking catchy. I've got that song going around in my head right now.
I know.
Such a good game. Plus, it's on the Game Pass, which is awesome. So it's on PC
So
Game Pass.
instant
I think.
access. Right
Yeah,
there,
so you can, if you've got the Game Pass, you can just download it and check it out. I think both the first and the second one are on there. But yeah, so good.
Because I'm so busy on my backlog, I think that was the only game I played on the Game Pass lately.
Your backlog is massive.
I
My
know,
backlog's bigger, but you know, it's fine.
Yeah,
I've come to
need to
terms
sort
with
it
it.
out.
That backlog's never going down. It just gets one
I
game.
need a database. It's not good.
I think my challenge is like one maybe 2 games a year from my backlog. I'm gonna try and play and complete. The curse of being a content creator.
With all the recent sales on the Switch, mine's done the same. I mean, hell, we were talking about the Amnesia
the
collection went on sale. I looked in the store the other day. I own it, apparently. I bought it at some point, so I didn't even know that I had that game.
Yeah,
this is why I've got a database.
Often happens. I need to get a database sorted for sure. Fish, your second game?
Second game was something which I feel does deserve to be in here, even though technically it's a re-release.
Yeah.
Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Because the Bowser's Fury section is the what tips it into a new game for me.
Oh, it's fun.
That was it was thoroughly enjoyable. It was a nice little Mario game. I think waiting on the basis that Mario Odyssey was just such a great Mario game, it left me hungry for another one in the Mario series. And yeah, okay, the Nintendo are using the Switch to relaunch a lot of the Wii U's titles, given that the Wii U wasn't as successful and they've got perfectly good Mario games which they can resell, why not? But it was nice to see 3D World's re-release have extra content. Bowser's Fury, the environment was gorgeous. Yeah, you could play it in less than 10 hours, but it's a solid Mario game in its own right. Even if it is just a short Mario game. The mechanics are nice, the environment is gorgeous to look at, and alright, the co-op play leaves a little bit to be desired and screams of, hey, you're playing as Tails while we play Sonic 3. It's like if Sonic goes running off. Yeah, if Sonic goes running off, the camera's going to focus on Sonic, and whoever's playing as Tails is just going to get left behind. Same with Mario and Bowser Jr. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, it genuinely scratched the Mario itch that I needed to have scratched. Until Nintendo can churn out another mainline Mario game.
It's coming. It's coming without a doubt. There's going to be another one, I'm sure.
Curious where they're going to go next.
How they're going to top Mario Odyssey is beyond me, but, we'll...
In fairness, we thought space was going to be the next one, so we thought Mario Galaxy, where can you take it from space? No, we'll just go back to planet Earth. That's fine.
They should go back to
Time travel.
Land or whatever. Go find Daisy.
Mario time travel.
Yeah, go back to
Mario
Mario
time
Land.
travel would be fun.
Yeah.
I would quite like that. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm curious for the next one. Oh, very good pick. I actually played that with you guys this year, because I hadn't completed it when it first came out, the 3D World. So I actually played that this year, and then I was Bowser Jr. and Dante was Mario. So I completely can relate to Tails. I'll go collect those coins. That's fine.
Go hit these enemies. I'm invincible. I don't care.
Yeah, well, I couldn't die. That was a nice perk. I will say that. But yeah, for sure. But it's a good game. My second game this year is actually Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Rocket the game.
I love Rocket. He's I love him. I was so blown away by this game this year. I was so pleasantly surprised. I actually wasn't that interested because they didn't do a great job with the marketing, in my opinion, to kind of sell the game. But then Square Enix offered me a review copy, and then I'm like, I have to play this game now to actually review it. And I am so glad I played it because it was absolutely amazing. And if you are a Marvel fan, a Guardians fan, you definitely should check out this game. I was definitely when I first went in, I was a little bit okay, here we go. This is going to be a Marvel Avengers again. It's Square Enix as well. Oh dear Gideon, what's going to happen? And I was genuinely concerned and apprehensive and going in expecting all of that. But I was so surprised by just how much I enjoyed the experience. This game was made by Eidos Montreal. That's the team behind Deus Ex, the Deus Ex series, and it was so obvious from start to finish that this game was developed by a very passionate team, that our comic book fans all love the property, love the content, because there were so many Easter eggs and references to the comics and to the it reminded me of the Batman games, the Arkham games, where there was just so much passion there, and you all the references and the
Done their research.
Yeah, they'd done their research, and the characters felt so authentic and so right, the way that they were voice acted, and the writing was just so good, and that's what I'm all about. The gameplay was fine. It was a, I wouldn't say, it's not like Metroid Dread level of freaking amazing gameplay, finesse and kind of stuff like that, but it was still good. It was still decent gameplay that you could play it and still enjoy it, and it was very, very similar to Mass Effect in many ways, which is probably why I enjoyed it so much, because obviously you have your companions and there's all this banter between your companions as you're going through levels, and then you can give orders and instructions to your companions to deal with certain environmental puzzles to progress, or certain orders during combat to do special moves and combos and things like that. You can get Groot to hold, there was a boss with these tentacles, and I could get order Groot to use his vines to strap down his tentacles, and then order Gamora to go in with her sword to attack. It was just really awesome. But the story and the characters were really what this was all about, and yeah, they did so well. With every single character was given their time to shine, and they did a lot in terms of character development, and I just absolutely loved it. So if you're a fan of the Marvel, the Guardians movies, and in general, this actually was better than the movies for me in terms of the story, character development, and the humor. It was so good, so good. I enjoyed every moment. So yeah, it definitely is one of my best games I've played this year. And that is why it's my number 2, and I highly recommend it. It's really good. So there you go, guys. There are our top 8 games that... 8? 8 games that we played this year, as well as some honorable mentions. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Share your thoughts. Are there any games that we missed that you played this year that you really enjoyed? Obviously, these are our picks, the games that we played this year. But yeah, definitely would like to hear your thoughts on it. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you back again on the channel soon. 2022, so many other things coming out this year to cover. I'm actually quite excited this year. There's a lot of some really good stuff coming out, and we'll be back with more content later. We do have a biggest disappointments of 2021, which is never fun to talk about, but it's always something should cover. Oh no. We'll be back with that. That will be our next video, so please look forward to that. Anyway, hope you guys have a great week. Of course, take care, and as always, happy gaming. Bye, guys.
Johnny.